Adrianne Haslet is not your typical athlete. She was hit by a terrorist bomb at the finish line of the Boston Marathon in 2013. And nearly 6 years later, a few blocks from the site of the blast, she was hit by a car. Despite everything she's faced, Haslet is focused on turning her tragedies into triumph.
April 15, 2013 is a date Adrianne Haslet will never forget. That day, she was a spectator at the Boston Marathon. She was hit by shrapnel and ultimately lost her left leg.
Yes.
We first met Haslet 3 years ago.
Something can happen to you in 3 seconds, but it's up to you to make every single second count after.
She was on the up and up, accepting her new normal as an amputee. 3 years after her life was changed, she completed the 2016 marathon, even though she was never a runner. It was a brutal journey to recovery.
Ow!
But along the way, she allowed cameras to document the whole process.
I was thankful that it was as raw as it was and that I captured those raw moments.
How has your life changed?
I look at life so much differently now. I just feel this sort of understanding about what it's like to go through something really, really tough. You know, it's that phrase that everyone's fighting a hard battle.
Just as Haslet was preparing for another marathon race, last month she was hit by a car. Another devastating blow, again to the left side of her body. The accident left her in the hospital for weeks.
In her case, with those two unspeakable, unheard of tragedies that most people will never experience, I think on the one hand, she has a depth of experience in recovering from something that's this traumatic. And on the other hand, this is a major challenge and tragedy in the middle of a training cycle, so we stop, reevaluate, and go forward from here.
Like in tragedy before, Haslet has shared every step of her painful recovery on social media, showcasing unparalleled optimism.
First shower on my own is a success.
She is adamant that this is not how her story will end.
And for the first time, Adrianne Haslet will talk to us about her recovery and whether she will be able to run this year's Boston Marathon. It's an interview you'll see only on CBS This Morning. Adrianne, it's so good to see you here in person with Fred Astaire, your service dog. Thank you.
Good to see you.
How are you?
You know, I'm good today. I've had worse days and I've certainly had better days, but I try and make the day today better than yesterday, and today is.
Mm-hmm. You were training to run this year's marathon again.
I was, and I was training to win first in my division for mobility impaired, so not just run it, but to place.
Mm-hmm. And then you were hit by a car.
Yeah, I was. I can't, listening to you say that, it doesn't even seem real yet.
Mm-hmm. It's like, you say, Gayle was saying this earlier, it's like first a terrorist nearly killed you, and then you get hit by a car. Why me?
Why me, right? Why me? I mean, it's so easy to get stuck on that, and I try not to, but you can't help it. I mean, who gets blown up by a terrorist and hit by a car?
I know this has been so painful for you because I follow you on Instagram, and we've been friends for a while, and I know you were pouring your heart into the Boston Marathon.
I was.
Are you going to be able to run?
No, I'm not. One of the first times saying it out loud. It's so hard, but I'm physically and mentally, but physically unable to do that. I have such little mobility in my arm, and it's 65 days away today. And I talked with my coach, and I talked with my surgeon, and I'm not running, and I am not going to be able to train for that kind of distance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so impossibly hard to have that taken away from me.
Because it was going to be the 6-year anniversary.
Yeah, it's falling on the day for the first time of the 6-year anniversary, and to take back that day and to be running as a thank you to everyone who's supported me in the running community and Boston and beyond, I just wanted to say thank you.
You know, I think about that, you saying too, I wanted to take back that day for myself. One of the things you told me that just rings in my head is that you say, I've been broken, but I'm more than my broken pieces.
I am more than my broken pieces, yes. I have now no left foot, and I have this gash scar on my arm, which I don't know what mobility I'll gain back with PT eventually, but I'm more than that. I'm so much more than that. I had to completely redefine myself after losing my leg, and I know I can do that again after being hit by a car.
You also told me I've chosen not to be a victim.
Yes.
That's a hard thing when you've experienced what you've been through.
Yes. And, you know, I choose to be called a victim because I'm not defined by what happened in my life. I'm defined by how I live my life. But it is very difficult to think that you are not a victim of multiple injuries and multiple people telling you, don't do this.
Mm-hmm. What happened when the driver hit you?
I was walking across the street directly in front of my house, just blocks away from the finish line, and out of nowhere, and I know that sounds crazy, a car came and hit me on my left prosthetic. I still have the dent, and sent me flying in the air. The car did not have headlights on. It did not stop at the crosswalk. I had the right of way. Flew me in the air, and I remember looking down onto the vehicle. It was dark out, and he did not have lights on. And I remember thinking, I'm going to land on my head. And I tucked my head down, and I hit the left side of my body, and it shattered all of this here. And I sat up, and I felt my arm, my elbow sitting in my lap, even though it should have been higher up. And I knew that my arm was not attached to my body.
In the ambulance, first thing you think of the surgeon that helped you with your leg?
I did. I called Dr. Kalish, my Superman surgeon, and I said, something's happened again. I need you at the hospital now. Get there. I didn't even ask.
What is the lesson that others who are dealing with pain in different ways can learn from your incredible resilience?
Thank you. I don't have all the answers, but one thing that I'm proud of is to be fiercely protective of my mental health. I don't think it's separate, mental or physical. For me, I put a note on the outside of the hospital room, and even though I was exposed to media, I thought those blasts came from the sky for about 3 months. I think you have to be fiercely protective of who you surround yourself with and who you invite into your life, and let yourself heal. Give yourself the time, and then you can do anything.
Thank you, Adrianne Haslet.
Thank you so much for having me. It's good to see you again.
And we'll be right back with more here on CBS This Morning.